I see you chose the red pill. So pins can be anywhere and everywhere. For example, this is a pin because the black king cannot move the pawn, because if he moves the pawn, then I take the king. So this is a pin, but this can be a pin, as also this can be a pin. And do you know why this is not a pin? It is a pin, but the reason why this is not a good pin is because black just simply take our bishop and we are losing the bishop. So this is not a good pin. But a pin can be for example this. This is a pin because he cannot move the bishop anywhere, because then he would lose the king. Is that clear? Yes, okay. So moving on. How we can use it to win like pieces. So if you see that the queen and the king are aligned, then somehow we can move the rook to pin the queen. So the queen would want to move, because if he does not move, we take the queen. But if he moves, then we can take the king. So that's why this is a pin, and this also wins material. For him to defend the queen is to put something in between. And now if he take, then we just lose the rook, and this is made in fuck knows how many moves. But a pin can be not just for the king, but with the queen or a high material piece. So for example, like this, we pin the rook to the queen, because if he moves the rook somewhere, then we take the queen. This is a pin also, because if he moves the knight, then he loses the rook. So this is under a pin, so this move becomes free, giving a check. So the king has to move somewhere, because the pawn was pinned, so the pawn cannot take. Now you have to be careful, because if you like move something random, then he can just take your knight. So for example, like this, he puts the rook there, and he just loses the rook, not the queen, and this is an okayish position. So we are going to look at some examples for pins. So this is the first puzzle, and so white made this mistake. So we give a check protected by the knight, the king has to move, and now we fork the queen and the rook. And now he pins the knight to our queen, so we cannot move the knight. But in this example we can, because after we move the knight and take the queen, the knight is protecting our queen, so he just loses the rook. So in this position we have a really great move, which kind of wins us the game. So this move is knight to f5, which attacks the queen, and if he takes with the pawn, then we take back, and the queen is pinned. Obviously he can block with the knight, but then we take the knight. So in this position, white is going to take the bishop, and so black would want to capture back to not be down a piece. And if he captures with the queen, then we can play this move, rook to e1, which pins the queen to the king. And the only way for him would be to defend if there was a bishop or a knight that can jump in front of it. But like this, there is no way for him to defend, and his best move is to capture and then be recaptured. So in this position we have a really great move again, which is knight takes g2. And the point is, if he takes with the king, then we pin the queen to the king. And with the same, if he takes with the queen, then we again pin and we are winning. So in this position we are really fucked, so really fucking fucked. As you can see, our rook is pinned, so we can't take the queen. And now, but we have a really great sacrifice which wins the game, and it goes like queen takes g2 again, and he takes with the queen, and then we take with the bishop, protected by our rook. Okay, so this is a bit harder puzzle, but I think you can solve it. So it starts with giving a rook check. The king has to move back because these two squares are taken away by our king. We pin the bishop. If he doesn't want to lose it, he defends it with the pawn. We take the pawn, this is a free pawn, and he defends it with the rook. And now we have a brilliant move. Rook takes d5. And if he doesn't take, he just moves away, then we take the rook and he's butt naked. So he has to take the rook, and then we now promote to a queen.